I'm Joyce Kim. I'm the executive director of Stellar.org, which is a not-for-profit that is focused on building public infrastructure for financial transactions. And our goal is to make, we are back-end to make all the different payment companies and systems and currencies interoperable.
I'm Alexandre. I work for m-PESA, Vodafone. We offer mobile money accounts to customers in Africa, in Asia, and contribute to enabling sort of an easier financial life.
Ismail Ahmed, I'm the founder and CEO of WorldRemit, a global money transfer business that enables migrants and expats to send money back home. We are connected to services like m-PESA, which allow us to credit funds to mobile accounts in Africa and Asia.
I'm Arjuna Costa. I'm an investment partner at the Omidyar network. The Omidyar network is a philanthropic investment firm created by the Omidyar family, who are the founders of eBay. And my focus within the firm is building out the ecosystem for financial inclusion with a heavy focus on investing in technology-driven, innovative startups across the emerging markets.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much to all of you for joining me and having a quick chat. You've just come off the stage at Guildhall. Self-confessed best panel of the day. Congratulations. I just want to start by asking rather a broad question, but what are the challenges collectively that you're trying to address, and how specifically can technology address those challenges? Who'd like to start? Joyce?
I would say from our perspective, we have two challenges ahead of us. We have a very difficult technical problem, like how do we create a global ledger that can work for all of the world's transactions in a manner that is owned by everybody and owned by nobody. The tougher part, actually, amazingly though, is the social mission, where we realize that a lot of work has to be done with explaining to people why financial inclusion is important and how financial inclusion is related to all the other problems that we're trying to solve in the world, healthcare, education, and whatnot. So what we've done is we kind of take baby steps, and we have a very strong content team around explaining to people why financial access is important in people's lives.
Does that?
Yeah, I think we're the challenge we're addressing is enabling people across borders to move money seamlessly. Today, the telecommunication revolution has reached a situation where somebody in Africa can talk to somebody without paying any money and easily. I think, but the movement of money between borders has been quite challenging, and so I think that is the challenge we're sort of addressing.
I think a slightly different angle to this, which is the digitization and the advent of technology has a huge impact on the economics of reaching the mass market, right? It just changes the dynamics of the business model. But in terms of innovation, there are other trends that are happening that are really interesting. So people are starting to really go deep into trying to understand behavior patterns of the mass market. So how do people really relate to money, and how do they engage with informal financial services, and how can we use technology to use those same behaviors but do it more efficiently, cheaply, and conveniently, right? And at the same time, a lot of the digital entrepreneurs that are here at the event and are part of Innovate Finance have also gotten very adept at user-centric design. So how do you design products and services, test them quickly with customers, come back and redo the designs? And so it's beyond just the technology, it's a whole, I think, mindset shift in how we think about engaging with end customers and designing products and services, riding on the rails of the technology. That's really, it feels like it's shifted in the last few years.
Yeah. And is enough being done? I mean, there's lots of talk at the moment about how emerging this industry is and how powerful it is, particularly in London. Is enough being done in particularly your line of work, would you say? Claire,
I think investment still needs to actually be rolled out. I mean, certainly the technology is enabling sort of provide the provision of access to financial services, but the technology is only one part, and so we continue to invest heavily in distribution so that the services that we're talking about, enabling people to move money faster from one part of the country to the other, is actually made accessible closer to where people live and work. So we want to see more of that, and I think it requires more investment.
Yeah, I think a lot more needs to happen, particularly in the developing countries where you have, 2.5 billion people who are not don't have access to financial services, and so today, somebody who migrant or expat who sends money back home now face the challenge of somebody traveling from a small village to a bank branch in the main city, and I think that is what technologies like m-PESA are addressing now, and I think we've made a tremendous progress where today there are 300 million mobile accounts in more than 90 countries, in the developing countries, yes. So, but there is still a lot more needs to happen to get to the 2 billion people on accessing financial services, yeah.
I'd love to see more entrepreneurs thinking about the emerging markets, right? I live in Silicon Valley where everybody is obsessed with mobile payments, but it's, I can pull my credit card out of the left side of my pocket or my phone out of the right side of my pocket. That's an evolutionary change in terms of the convenience for my payment. But what Claire and m-PESA have done is truly revolutionary, right? It's shifted the paradigm of how 16 million, 18 million Kenyans think about engaging with financial services. So, and I think there's that much more innovation you can build on that. So I'd love to see more, I think, with capital, but also entrepreneurial spirit and thinking, moving towards the rest of the world rather than solving, at least where I live, incremental problems.
And if Innovate Finance, Joyce, could contribute to that, how could that be done? What would you hope to see in the next global summit, for example?
Well, one of the things that I've really appreciated here is that a lot of the entrepreneurs that I've met through Innovate Finance and in London are just so much more globally minded. Right. It is a very diverse city that is here, and that is a strength of London that the Innovate Finance community should continue to invest in, and realize that that is how you get closer to building for mass market difference and not incremental difference.
Fantastic. And talking about diversity on a slightly different level, yesterday was International Women's Day, and how important it's great to see half the panel female representation. How important is women's contribution to this industry, do you think? To all of you, actually. That doesn't have to be just to Claire or Joyce.
I think what we see that with new services like mobile money and m-PESA, individuals have more choices, and so women as users of the services suddenly also have more choices, and for emerging market this is particularly important. So I think there is a contribution as users that can be made, and I think the lives of women can also be improved thanks to these new services.
And I think a lot of the financial inclusion research has shown that you actually get a higher ROI when you invest in women as consumers and as customers for a lot of these financial products. So even just from a purely business perspective, it makes sense to focus on women demographics for product rollout and for customization of services. In the field, this is probably actually one of the most diverse fintech conferences I've ever been to, so I think that's great, and I hope that the trend just continues.
I think what we have seen is in international money transfer, the expansion of financial services in the developing countries where women have access to mobile accounts has really made a big difference. So historically, because banks used to focus on big cities, it was often men who used to travel to a bank branch, queue up, collect money, and spend some of that maybe on things that other than what the money was intended for. Yeah, that has now changed, and what we see a greater number of recipients are now women in the developing countries because they have mobile wallets like m-PESA, so they can get the money in in their village without traveling to urban centers, sort of. So I think technology is certainly making a big difference for women's participation in the financial services. Yeah.
Lovely to chat to you all. Thank you so much for spending the time, and best of luck with all your endeavours.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.